The story begins as a boy named Xiaowu breaks into an abandoned house as he searches for clues about a demon. We learn that in the city of Hanya, mysterious deaths have been reported and children have even gone missing. But since it happened during the celebration for the Lingan King, the government was afraid to act because they didn't want to upset the higher-ups and ruin the celebration. So the matter was only investigated in secret, and Xiaowu follows the sound of a whistle as he looks around. He chases after a shadow, but it turns out to be a cat, and he realizes that the whistling was just the wind from the crack in the wall. After he leaves, a man named Zhao asks him if he found the demon, wondering if it was behind the whistling sound. But he writes his findings in his notebook and Zhao reads it. Realizing the sound was caused by the wind, he reveals that he has been accompanying Xiaowu to all the places rumored to have demons, but he has been trying to convince him that they don't exist. He tells him to stop messing around, but Xiaowu mentions that he solves all the cases while Zhao always takes the credit. A boy tells him that a man named Qi is calling him back to the office because another child has gone missing. The boy reveals that, according to the rumors, a demon is behind it, so Xiaowu becomes excited and he rushes to the office. Meanwhile, he yells at the guards because they can't even protect a small place like Hanya. They reveal that 5 children have gone missing and they think the matter is becoming serious, so they should report it to the higher-ups. But Qi notes that it will only make the situation worse, and he tells them they'll face punishment if they can't find the missing children. One of the guards asks him if they should bring Xiaowu with them, but he notes that Xiaowu will only add to the trouble since he will think it's the work of a demon. But he suddenly arrives at the office, saying a demon is responsible for the situation, so everyone laughs at him. He tries to convince them, and he mentions that he has found clues, but Qi tells him to stop because he has made them the laughingstock of the town. But he tells Zhao to give him 2 men, saying a girl named Tang saw the demons, but Zhao yells at him for always believing what she says. He notes that he was planning to ask Qi to allow Xiaowu to investigate cases with him. But the only thing he thinks about is demons. He once again asks Zhao to give him 2 men, but he mentions that it's time for the sacrifice to the Lingan King. So they shouldn't do anything to disrupt it, because the higher-ups will blame them, telling Zhao to leave the case alone. Xiaowu goes to meet Tang, who's crying because she's scared of the demon, so he asks to speak with her alone. He tells her he also saw a demon when he was a child, and no one believed him, but he tells her what's important is that they believe in themselves. She mentions that she saw a boy who was chasing a yellow butterfly, but he was swallowed by the water. She becomes even more scared thinking about it, so her mother comes to calm her down. Xiaowu goes to play chess, hoping to get information from the crowd, but the old man he's playing against knows his real intentions. The old man asks him if he doesn't have any new leads on his case, and the crowd teases him about trying to find the demons, but he notes that the people are strange because they don't believe in demons, but they worship a god who they have never seen before. But a woman tells him to stop talking nonsense, saying it will be his fault if there's a disaster. He wonders if they have seen anything strange in the town, and a man reveals that he has information, but he mentions that his throat is dry. So Xiaowu gives him a drink, and he reveals that his wife saw a strange person when she went to the temple. He was dressed like a holy man, but he didn't worship the gods, and he walked around the city like he was looking for something. They think he must be the one who kidnapped the children, but the woman mentions she knows the man, and she doesn't believe he's the kidnapper. The man named Qin suddenly appears before them, and as Xiaowu follows him, a woman reports that her child has gone missing. Xiaowu follows Qin, who leads him to a dark alley, where he hears a scream, and as he follows it, he sees a child's footsteps. He enters the Lingan King temple, where a girl named Ling hides behind the statue and pretends to be the king. He decides to expose her, and he mentions that everyone's waiting for her to show her magic. He wonders if she hasn't shown herself, because she didn't like their offerings, but she mentions that she was just busy. She asks him if he's investigating the missing children, which surprises him, and she notes that she knows everything. Since she's the guardian of Hanaya, she offers to help him, but he mentions that she's the one responsible for the kidnappings, and he suddenly appears behind her. She tells him the children are underneath the floor, and he threatens to arrest her if she's lying. But she uses her magic to open a secret path. He can't believe such a place exists underneath the temple, and he asks her who she is, but she keeps insisting that she's the Lingan King. She leads him to one of the missing children named Son, who's lying unconscious on top of a giant turtle. But Xiao is just happy that demons really exist. Xiao decides to save San while the turtle is still sleeping, so he swings over it and throws the Sun towards Ling, who catches him using water magic. But the turtle wakes up, and it's about to eat Xiao, so he swings towards her as she saves him with her magic. She tells the turtle that he is there to help them, but it attacks her, so she tries to block with water. But the attack is too strong, and it's about to hit her, so Xiao pushes her out of the way, telling her to go with the Sun as he distracts the turtle. On the surface, the people are excited as something starts happening in the river, and they think the Lingan King is about to appear, but they're disappointed when nothing happens. Zhao tells everyone to get away from the river, and he's surprised to see Quen, but he suddenly disappears. Meanwhile, Xiao gets hit by the turtle's attack, but Xiao manages to find its weak point. Yellow butterflies appear around them, and he remembers his past, but Quen suddenly appears, and he catches a butterfly, which turns into a flower. He mentions that they're soul flowers, telling Xiao he shouldn't touch them, and he summons lightning to destroy all the butterflies as the sun wakes up. The turtle attacks Quen, who dodges the attack and jumps on its back, but his staff can't pierce the turtle's shell. He keeps attacking, but not his attacks work, so Xiao charges in, telling Quen to attack it below its neck. Xiao damages it with his gun, and Quen uses the opportunity to stab the turtle's neck, which makes it fall to the ground. Quen uses his lightning to finish it off, but the whole area is destroyed. Xiao manages to get San to the surface, but he wonders what happened to the others. Son is taken to his mother, and Xiao returns to the temple, but he realizes that the hidden door is no longer there. So she mocks him, telling him the higher-ups will learn that he didn't do his job properly, so the children were killed by the kidnappers. He reveals that Xiao cursed his parents to death, so he becomes angry, and he punches Qi before running away. And he tells Zhao that he has decided to quit. After that, the people of Hanya start to worship General Lu as their new god. And the Lingdan statue is taken apart because he didn't show his magic. Ling starts to cry, and she jumps into the river, where she turns into a fish. But a mysterious woman captures her. Xiao approaches Quen, who gives him an item he found in the turtle's cave, and Xiao decides to follow him. During their journey, Xiao wonders why they keep moving up and down the same mountain, but he suddenly feels something around them. So Quen uses his staff to show him that they're surrounded by demons, and he explains that when heaven and earth are divided, yin and yin begin to meet. This leads to an extraordinary power spreading all over the world, and the creatures that are affected by it turn into demons. Xiao is confused. Because according to the storybooks he has read, demons look like humans. But Quen reveals that demons can change their shapes, which makes Xiao realize that Ling was also a demon. He asks Quen about the soul flower, but instead of answering, Quen tells him to use the technique he has taught him to catch demons. Xiao runs after demon, but it's way faster than him, so he shoots a tree, which falls on the demon, and he manages to capture it. He picks it up, and it tries to attack him using a black fog, so he blocks it using his flames. He shows Quen all the demons he has caught, and he's impressed by how much Xiao has improved, but he notes that it's because Quen is a great teacher. Quen tells him to use the mind's eye technique, which he used to find the turtle's weak point. But he's confused when it doesn't work, and he points to random parts of the demons' bodies to make Quen believe he can see their weak spots. another demon suddenly falls from the sky. And Quen tells Xiao Wu to reveal its weak point, so he tells Quen where to find it. But he realizes that Xiao Wu has been lying to him, so he explains that the technique doesn't work every time. Quen tells him that demons are always changing, so if he can use the mind's eye, he will be able to deal with them. But Xiao Wu gets left behind as he wonders why Quen was walking so fast. Two demons named Jin and Yin appear in front of him, and he's shocked to see that they look like humans. He tries to run away, but Jin catches up to him, telling him to surrender his weapon. He fires at her, but she blocks his bullet as he realizes that he's no match for her. So he tries to get away, but Yin attacks him, sending him flying into a tree. She tries to get his weapon, but Jin uses her rope to get it first, and he tells them he has a friend who's stronger than them, but Jin doesn't believe him. Jin and Yin start to argue about who should get his weapon, and he tries to use the opportunity to escape. But Jin uses a bottle to capture him, and she hears him calling out to Quen for help, so she decides to catch him as well. Quen tries to protect himself by making a shield out of the ground, but the bottle is too powerful, and it manages to suck him in as well. Yan takes the bottle from Jin, and she mentions that since Jin already has Xiao Wu's weapon, she should get the bottle. But Jin refuses to let her have it, so they fight each other to decide who will get it. Xiao Wu and Quen fall inside the bottle, and Quen tries to use ice magic to stop their fall, but it doesn't work. Xiao Wu is about to fall into a poisonous lake, but Quen manages to save him as he creates ice platforms for them to stand on. Meanwhile, Jin defeats Yin, and she wonders why Yin didn't use the bottle to capture her when she took it from her hand, so Yin explains that she doesn't want to kill her. Their conversation is heard by Xiao Wu, who's surprised that such a powerful item isn't soundproof. He wonders if they can escape by making a hole, so Quen tries to use his magic to destroy the walls, but it doesn't work, and Xiao Wu mentions that he has another plan. Quen tells him that the soul flower is cursed, and when it attaches to people, it will find its way into their bodies and suck all of their blood and vital energy. Xiao Wu wonders where it came from, but Quen has no idea, and he tells Xiao Wu that he will need his help in the future. As Jin sleeps at night, Yin replaces her bottle with a fake, and as she opens it up, Xiao Wu tells her he has a way for her to get the bottle, but she's shocked that they're still alive. Xiao Wu asks her if she's interested in making a deal with him, saying he has a way to make Jin willingly give her the bottle, but she wonders what he needs from her, so he tells her to let them out of the bottle. She isn't sure she should trust them, so he tells her who they are, saying if she feels like they're going to attack her, she can simply say their names to capture them in the bottle. While she thinks about what to do, Xiao Wu uses fire magic and tells her that if they do something crazy while inside the bottle, it might get destroyed. She gets annoyed hearing this, so she closes the bottle, and Quen wonders if Xiao Wu's plan will work. Yin knows that she can't defeat Jin alone, so she opens the bottle, asking Xiao Wu about his plan, but he tells her to free them first. She puts a stick in the bottle, and as they grab onto it, she pulls them out. She once again asks Xiao Wu about his plan, but he asks her why she needs the bottle, so she reveals that it was left to her by her mother, but after she passed away. Jin took it from her, and Jin stops her every time she tries to take it back. She told Yin she isn't strong enough to keep the bottle with her, and she feels like Jin has never treated her like a sister, but Xiao is surprised that demons have such problems. Quen suddenly attacks Yin using earth magic, so she tries to use the bottle to capture them, but before she can do it, Xiao Wu steals it from her, and Quen uses his magic to restrain her. He goes to take Xiao Wu's weapon back from Jin, and Xiao Wu tells him to also bring her back with him. But as he goes to their hideout, Jin attacks him using her rope. He avoids her attack, and he uses the ground to restrain her while he tries to run away. But she breaks free and tries to use the bottle to capture him, but she's shocked when it doesn't work, wondering if she forgot his name. She chases after him, but he leads her to Xiao, and she realizes that they have captured the yin. But she thinks they'll be disappointed if they were trying to use her. She asks Xiao how he got out, and she's surprised to see that he has the same bottle as her, but she thinks he has a fake one and is just trying to scare her. She suddenly throws her bottle at him and uses her rope to attack, but Quen blocks it with his magic. Xiao uses the bottle to capture Yin, which makes Jin panic, and she agrees to do anything for him as long as he frees Yin. He notes that Jin doesn't need to worry about Yin, since she's always trying to take the bottle from her, so he tells the Jin to use the chance to cut ties with her. But she reveals that Yin is the closest person to her after their mother died, which makes Zhao wonder why she doesn't give her the bottle. So she explains that it's the last thing her mother left her, but Yin isn't strong enough to protect it. She tells Zhao to capture her as well, saying Yin is her only family and she wishes to die with her, so he uses the bottle to catch her. She reunites with Yin, who cries after hearing everything, and she blames herself for what's happening. But Jin thinks it's her fault for always being too harsh on her. As they hug each other, Zhao opens the bottle, telling Yin he kept his word, and after he pulls them out, Jin thanks him for helping them make up. As they go their separate ways, Quen asks Zhao how he knew Jin and Yin would make up, so he explains that it's because they're sisters, saying a family always looks out for each other. They reach the city of Xian, where people suddenly start bowing as the Lord Huan arrives, and Quen notes that the city is run by a cult. A guard sees Zhao and Quen not bowing, so he goes over to them, but he gets scared seeing the look in Quen's eyes. A man tries to run away, but he also suddenly starts bowing, which makes Zhao realize something weird is going on. But Quen stops him from taking action, saying their main goal is to find the Surya. They head to a building, and Zhao asks Quen if the treasure is there. So he notes that it has been enshrined there since ancient times, but they wonder why no one is guarding the place. They realize that the stairs have been blocked by webs, and Zhao uses fire to clear the path. But he wonders what the Surya looks like, so Quen notes that it's round and orange, and it can also glow. Xiao asks Quen to do a favor for him if he helps him find the Surya, and Quen agrees to his request. They come across a cat demon who acts hostile because he thinks they were sent by Wang, but Zhao easily catches him. So he tells Zhao to kill him, but he lets him go, saying he only wants to know where they can find the Surya. But the cat reveals that it's long gone, and he tells them to ask the Buddhist guardian if they want to find it. Quen notes that Wang is the guardian he's talking about, telling Xiao that the guardians accompanied Sanzang back from Tianshu. The cat mentions that after Sanzang passed away, the guardians were ordered to guard the Surya at the pagoda. He reveals that after Wang became the Buddhist guardian, the thriving clan suddenly disappeared, and Wang became younger when he returned. We go back to when Shan was attacked by demons, and as Wang appeared, people thought he was their savior. He tells them a demon is hiding among them, and a woman suddenly turns into a demon, so Wang tells everyone to attack her. Her husband realizes he doesn't have a choice, so he picks up a rock and beats her to death. We return to the present, as the cat mentions that the woman wasn't a demon, but Wang used her to control everyone's mind. All the blame was placed on the demons, so there's no place for them to live in Xian. Xiao thinks they can't avoid facing Huang while finding the Surya, but Quen picks him up and jumps from the top of the building. As the cat notes that they might be able to defeat Huang, we see another group of people trying to get the Surya, and after stealing it, they plan to retreat outside the city, since Wang isn't able to leave. Quen and Zhao go to meet Wang, and the guards warn them to stay back, but Quen ignores their warnings, so they charge in, but Quen and Zhao dodge their attacks. A woman named Li appears, and she uses her sword to slice the guards' masks, which surprises Zhao, but she reveals that she's there to pay respect to Lord Huang. The door suddenly opens, and they hear his voice, telling the guards to allow Li to enter. But when Quen and Xiaowu try to follow her, the guards stop them, saying they can't enter without authorization, but Li mentions that they're her servants, which annoys Xiaowu, but he decides to go with her Lai, since it's the only way for them to enter. As they meet Wang, Li starts to pinch his cheeks, saying she didn't expect him to be so cute. But he quickly gets away from her, saying he only met with her because of her older brother, so she shouldn't do something she will regret. Xiaowu asks him about the Surya, so he notes that since a lot of people are after it, he decided to put it in a safe place, and he tells them to follow him. He teleports them outside the castle, where he starts to fly, and he gathers the other group that was trying to steal the Surya. He explains that since there are many people after it, he couldn't kill them one by one, so he waited for everyone to fall into his trap, so that he can easily take care of them. He summons two symbols, and as he hits them together, the sound damages the other group. Xiaowu fires a bullet at him, but it stops before hitting him, so he rushes in with his sword, but Wang disappears. And Quen notes that they're in a world of illusion, so they can't escape without breaking it. Huang notes that he can't leave scene, but he mentions that they also can't escape the illusion. And he uses his symbol to crush the other group. People suddenly appear around them, and he mentions that even if he can't leave the city, he can still enjoy his life there. He tells everyone he will kill them, since they're coming after the Surya, and the people turn into demons. So Li starts killing them, but a huge demon appears, so Quen uses fire magic to attack it, while Xiaowu uses his knife to finish it off. Quen uses his ice magic to freeze the demons around him, but there's too many of them. And Wang notes that ever since he was born, he was destined to be the Buddhist guardian, so he needs to guard the Surya as long as he lives, and he notes that other people think it's an honor, but he sees it as a curse. Xiaowu thinks he doesn't need to turn humans into demons, but he mentions that he needs to do something for fun, since he can't leave the city. They keep killing the demons, and Quen tells Xiaowu to use the Mayan's eye, because they can't escape without finding Huang's true form. But he makes the demons disappear and causes the ground under their feet to fall apart. Li is suddenly restrained by ropes, and the demon appears before her, but it disappears, and Huang joins her, telling her she has been married off by her brother. She mentions that she doesn't want to get married, saying she wants to prove her worth to everyone, but Huang notes that it isn't her choice to make. Meanwhile, Quen is surrounded by mirrors, and he hears Huang's voice. He mentions that ever since he saw Quen, he knew something incredible is hidden inside him. But he wonders why Quen is afraid of letting it out. He looks into Quen's mind and finds the reason why he's looking for the Surya, but he tells Quen to give up, saying there's nothing wrong in letting out what's hidden in him. A monster suddenly appears, and he asks Quen if he thinks he will be able to kill him after he finds the kid, but instead of answering, Quen seals him away. Meanwhile, Xiaowu relives the moment his parents passed away, and he's about to look for them in his old house, but he suddenly stops himself. Huang is confused, because he always wanted to find out what happened that night, but he's stopping himself when he's so close to finding out the truth. We go back to 10 years earlier, when Huang tries to steal the Surya so that he can get out of scene. But he was seen by another person. So he tries to run out of the city, but his father catches him, sending him flying into a wall, and he tells Huang to come back with him. He notes that he doesn't want to become the Buddhist guardian, because it will mean that he will need to spend the rest of his life in the city. But his father notes that it's the duty of their clan to protect the Surya and the pagoda, and since Huang is a descendant of the guardian, it's his destiny to become the Buddhist guardian. Huang tries to attack him, but he's no match for his father, and seeing that he has no way out, he decides to eat the Surya. He turns into a kid, thinking he's finally free because he has nothing left to protect. But as he tries to leave the city, he's stopped by a barrier. His father tells him he can't leave no matter what happens, so he gets angry and ends up crushing his father. We return to the present as Wang tries to convince Xiao Wu to stop his obsession with learning the truth, because it's the only way he'll be free. But he remembers Quen's words, and he tells Wang that even though he's scared, he still needs to see what happened. He opens the door and he attacks Wang, who blocks the attack with his symbol. But Xiao Wu stabs it with his knife, breaking it into pieces, and he manages to injure Huang. They are able to escape from the illusion world, and Huang is happy because he can finally leave the city, since Xiao Wu destroyed the symbol. But before he can get away, Li cuts him down, telling him he deserves to die. As he turns into dust, Quen tries to grab the Soria that appears from his body, but Li attacks him, saying her goal is to capture him. Since he's the most powerful demon in the world, a black creature suddenly appears and grabs the Surya, so Quen runs after it, and Li tries to follow him, but he stops her with his earth magic. He tells Xiao Wu to keep up with him, and as they try to catch the creature, it throws a gold coin, which hits Xiao Wu in the head, and the creature manages to get away. As they sit in a restaurant, everyone's surprised by the gold coin Xiao Wu is holding, and they think it was left by the nine-headed monster. He tells them the monster stole the Surya, but they mention that he's different from the other thieves, because instead of stealing tea and silk, he only takes shiny objects. Quen asks them why he's called the nine-headed monster, and if anyone has seen his true form, but they note that he comes and leaves without a trace, so there are only rumors that his 9 heads are like snakes. Quen mentions that their main goal should be to lure him out, so Xiao Wu notes that he has a plan. He makes a ball out of mirrors, and he mentions that it will shine when the sun comes up, thinking it should attract the monster. The thief arrives at the restaurant, and he starts stealing from people, but he leaves them with gold coins, and he hears them talking about Xiao Wu's treasure. After he leaves, we see that he has a creature with him, who tells him that leaving people with gold coins after stealing pearls isn't profitable, telling him he should just kill them. As the sun comes up, he sees the shining ball and goes to take it, but when he steps on the ground, Quen's magic activates as the thief realizes it was a trap. He manages to escape and is about to fly away, but Quen throws Xiao Wu at them. He uses fire to propel himself forward, and he manages to grab onto the thief, causing him to crash to the ground. Quen tells him to return the Saria, but he mentions that he doesn't have it, so Xiao Wu tells him he will be punished if he doesn't cooperate. The creature telepathically tells the thief that Xiao Wu is only trying to scare him, and he notes that they should deceive them by leading them to a place called the Bebo Pool. The thief notes that the Saria is at the pool, so Quen tells him to lead the way, and they fly on his back to get there. When they arrive, Xiao Wu is surprised to see how much gold there is, and the thief tells him the Saria is somewhere in all the gold. So he becomes upset, but the thief steals his notebook, saying he never told him he was going to hand it over. Quen summons earth spikes to capture him, but he manages to get away, and Quen tells Xiao Wu to help him look for the Saria while the thief is watching them from afar. As he reads Xiao Wu's books, he wishes they could be friends, but the creature mentions that his real appearance is ugly and frightening, so no one wants to become his friend. Xiao Wu mentions how back in Hanya, 2 people become friends after they exchange secrets with each other. So he tells Quen about the time he put Qi's armor in water and blamed it on Zhao. But Quen doesn't understand why he's sharing that story. Xiao Wu mentions that he isn't going to tell anyone that Quen is a demon, but he explains that it isn't true. Xiao Wu mentions that he wouldn't mind even if Quen was a demon, and he asks him about the black aura that appeared around him in Xian. But before he can answer, Xiao Wu finds something in the gold. He tries to get his notebook, but he screams as he realizes it's gone, which startles the thief, and it gives away his position. He tries to fly away, but Quen sends him crashing to the ground, and he realizes he can't escape, so he transforms into his 9-headed monster form. Xiao Wu becomes frightened, so the creature tells the thief that Xiao Wu is just like all the others who find him ugly. He gets angry and starts to attack them, so Quen teleports above him and summons tornadoes to attack him. But a black aura suddenly appears around Quen, and the demon inside him notes that the harder he tries, the weaker the seal inside him becomes. Wu realizes that Quen can't fight on, so he throws the mirror ball, telling him to set it on fire. So he uses fire magic, and the ball illuminates the scene, blinding the thief for an instant, and Quen uses the chance to restrain him with his earth magic. Wu is amazed by his 9-headed monster form, telling him they'll return the mirror ball if he gives them the Surya. He asks Wu why he isn't scared, but he mentions how he finds his 9-headed form handsome, and he shows him a picture he made, which makes him happy. He gives the Surya to Quen, and as they fly on his back, Wu asks him about the patterns in the Bebo pool, but he notes that they were already there when he found it, and they reach a city called Lanzhou. The thief leaves them in the city, and as they enter, Quen notes that they should find a quiet place since he needs to refine the Surya. Meanwhile, two people named Fang and Mingyu use earth magic to lift the Bebo pool. The thief tries to stop them, but Mingyu cuts off one of his heads, and soul flowers suddenly appear around him. Quen uses the Surya to seal the demon inside him, but he tells Quen that it won't hold him forever, and he threatens to kill everyone after he breaks free. As Wu wakes up, he's surprised to see how busy the city is, and he asks Quen about the biggest temple in the city. We go back to 3 years earlier, where Wu sees a man named Yun who falls into a river, so he helps him out, and gives him fish to eat. Yun sees the mark on Wu's neck, and mentions that fate has brought them together, but Wu has no idea what he's talking about. He tells Yun to leave as soon as possible, because they're in a dangerous place. He reveals that over a decade ago, the lake was a place called the Wu Village, but everyone there died overnight. Yun mentions that he has a trick to ward off evil spirits, and he offers to teach it to Wu. So he wonders if Yun knows about the Wu Village incident, but he suddenly disappears. We return to the present, as Wu and Quen go to the Jinyuan temple, where Wu wishes for the peace of his deceased family, and for everyone to live happily. He asks Quen if he has something he needs to wish for, and he just tells Wu to leave, but he's shocked when he sees a soul flower. The flowers appear all over the city, and Wu rushes to save everyone, because he doesn't want the incident from the Wu village to happen again. But he comes across a group of people who have already fallen victim to the flower. Quen burns the flowers around them, and he notes that he can't destroy all of them, because he can't find the source. But Wu mentions that the flowers also killed his parents, so he needs to protect the people of the city. He reminds Quen that he promised to do him a favor because they found the Surya, but Quen leaves him, saying they have already achieved their goal, so they should go their separate ways, and he advises Wu to stay away from the situation, because the flowers can't be beaten with strength alone. Meanwhile, we see Li at the illustrious Sage Erlang temple, where she runs into a man, who she thinks is a beggar. She tells him to leave with his dog and bird, but he mentions that he has been sleeping there for days, so he considers it as part of his territory. She gets annoyed and attacks him with her sword, but he dodges it, and notes that he has other matters to attend to. So he throws a stone at the banner, causing it to fall, and as Li goes to catch it, he suddenly disappears. After that, we learn that Li was the one who captured the Ling and Anya, and she thanks Li for saving her, saying she will repay her once she has recovered. A soul flower appears behind Li, so she immediately destroys it. She wonders where the flowers are coming from, and Ling notes she has seen them before. Li sees Fang and Mingyu jumping through the city, and she realizes that they're the ones behind the soul flowers, so she decides to follow them. Meanwhile, a woman infected by the flower begs Wu to kill her, and he tries to save her by cutting the flower, but he's shocked to see that it keeps regenerating. He has no idea what to do, but he sees Fang and Mingyu, so he vows to defeat them even without Quen's help. Mingyu talks with Fang about how their father was right about Lanzhou, because it's the perfect place for the soul flower to grow, but Fang tells her she shouldn't let her guard down. They see people trying to fight the flowers, but Mingyu notes that their efforts won't be enough. She mentions that their father has become unstoppable because the fragments of heaven have already gathered, and Fang notes that they should go to welcome the honored guests. Xiaowu overhears their conversation, which makes him realize that they aren't the masterminds behind the flowers, but as he's about to follow them, Li suddenly stops him. She asks him about Quen, wondering if Xiaowu had a fight with him after he found out the truth, but he refuses to answer her questions. She notes that he can't defeat Mingyu and Fang on his own, so she offers to help him, and he asks her what she wants in return. But she tells him to forget about it, saying it's her duty to uphold justice as a demon catcher. Ling tells him he shouldn't listen to her nonsense, saying Li couldn't bear to see Lanzhou turn into a living hell. But he's surprised to meet her there, and he asks her how she ended up with Li, so she reveals that Li saved her. As they try to find Mingyu and Feng, Xiaowu sees a man commanding the guards in the city, and he wonders who the man is. So Li notes that he's from the Mingyu dynasty's court. Meanwhile, Mingyu and Fang meet with Quen, saying their father told them to welcome him, and they invite him to their home. He notes that they have the aura of the heavens, and Mingyu rushes towards him, saying that he has a keen eye, but Fang tells her to be respectful. She shows him an item, saying their father told them he won't cause trouble for them after seeing it, and he decides to go with them. Li and Xiaowu overhear them, and Li thinks Quen must be the mastermind behind the flower, since Mingyu and Feng were respectful to him, but Xiaowu doesn't believe it. He mentions that Quen isn't that kind of person, but Li tells him to think about how the soul flower always appears wherever he goes. They're attacked by Mingyu, who sends them flying using her weapon, but Quen ignores them, saying it's urgent to meet their father. Xiaowu asks him if he's the one behind everything, but Mingyu just tells him what he's seeing is the truth, so he becomes angry. He attacks her with his knife, but she dodges his attack and sends him flying into a wall. Li attacks Mingyu, who wraps her weapon around Li's sword and pulls it away. So Li tries to kick her, but she blocks it, and she throws the sword toward Xiaowu. But as he's about to get hit, Quen suddenly protects him. He tells Xiaowu there are things he shouldn't know about, and he knocks him out. Xiaowu remembers his past, where he saw that Quen was present when his village was destroyed. So Xiaowu asks him if he was the one who killed his parents, but he smashes him with his staff. He stops Mingyu's attack from hitting Li, but he uses earth magic to restrain her, before knocking her out, and he mentions that he will kill them himself if it's necessary. As Xiaowu wakes up, he realizes that he's surrounded by injured people, and he realizes that the family he met at the Shenyuan temple is among them. Li takes him to meet the man from the Mingyu dynasty's court, and he asks Xiaowu if he knows Quen, thinking he's the one behind the soul flowers. But Xiaowu notes that it's all speculation, and there's still no evidence to prove that Quen is guilty. The man sees the scar on Xiaowu's neck, so he tells him about how his village was destroyed by the soul flower. The man mentions that they investigated the incident and found no clues, but it seems Lanzhou is the origin of the soul flowers. He notes that Lanzhou is in critical condition, so they shouldn't do anything to cause any more trouble. But Li notes that it's just like her brother told her, saying the people of the Mingyu dynasty are fearful. After that, they start searching for the Quen, but after 2 days, Xiaowu becomes exhausted. He wonders if Li can find Quen with her bell, so she wonders why he's following her if he doesn't believe her. She notes that she will find and kill Quen, but Xiaowu thinks they need to ask him about the soul flowers first. The bell starts to vibrate, and Li tells Xiaowu that when she entered the Lanzhou, the bell stopped working. But it started to work again recently. Xiaowu mentions that when they reached Lanzhou, Qu'il refined the Surya, which makes Li realize Qu'il must be injured again and why he can't suppress the demonic aura inside him. They climb the mountain of infinite longevity and Li starts to insult it, but they find Mingyu and Feng standing there. Feng jumps towards Xiao Wu, who fires a bullet at him, but he blocks it. Xiao Wu asks him where Quan is, but he refuses to answer because he's a human who doesn't deserve to interfere with his father's matters. He knocks Xiao Wu back, and Li tries to attack him, but Mingyu stops her and sends her flying. They start fighting each other, and Mingyu manages to pin her down. But before she can do anything, she gets scared hearing the sound of thunder. Xiao Wu uses his mind's eye to find her weak spot, and he tries to shoot her, but Feng stops it. So he fires another bullet, and Feng deflects it, but it reaches the sky, and it causes lightning to appear. It strikes the ground, so Mingyu becomes the distracted, and Li takes the chance to cut off her hand. Mingyu and Feng decide to retreat, but Xiao Wu refuses to let them escape. So he fires another bullet towards the sky. And he gets struck by lightning, but he manages to control it, and he uses it to defeat Mingyu and Feng. Feng is on his last legs, and he tries to get away, but the beggar from the temple ends his life. After that, Xiao Wu asks Li why she insists on killing Quan, so she explains that she needs to do it because she's a member of the Li family. We go back to when Mingyu and Feng took Quan to meet their father, and Quan is surprised to see the soul flowers present there, which are all being absorbed by the man fruit tree. We learn that Mingyu and Feng's father is Shen Yuan, and Quan realizes that Shen let the soul flowers spread unchecked for the sake of the man fruit tree. Shen mentions that 800 years ago, when heaven was destroyed and all the gods fell, he thought he was the only one who survived, but he's surprised to learn that Quan is still alive. He reveals that he has gathered all the fragments of heaven scattered in the mortal world, and as long as he uses the man fruit to revive the gods, he can reshape heaven and bring order to the world. Shen tells Quan they should work together to bring heaven back, saying he won't even hesitate to sacrifice himself. He tells Quan to lead all the gods and guide the rebirth of heaven, but Quan asks him why he's trying so hard. So he explains that he gathers people's faith using the soul flower, which he uses to nourish the man-fruit tree. He mentions that ever since heaven fell, the world is on a moral decline, with demons running wild, and he adds that humans have emotions and memories, which the gods don't have. He tells Quan that the human's faith in gods is the key for catalyzing the man-fruit and reviving the gods. After seeing Quan's reaction, Shen wonders if he has taken pity on the humans, and Quan disappears before his eyes. He reappears from the sky covered in fire as he tries to attack the tree. But Shen blocks his attack, saying he always suspected Quan only came there to ruin his plan. Two people appear from the ground, but Quan impales them with his earth spikes and burns their bodies. He throws a spike at Shen, who breaks it into pieces, and he mentions how he didn't expect Quan to degrade himself by associating with humans. Quan attacks him with ice, but his body turns into leaves, and he dodges the attack, telling Quan that humans are the cause of all the chaos in the world. So the world can only be brought back to its rightful order by eliminating human desires and establishing a hierarchy. Quan mentions that everything has its rise and fall, but Shen causes suffering to innocent people for his selfish desires. So he asks Shen why he's deceiving himself, and Quan notes that the only way to make him pay for his actions is by ending his life. Quan uses the ground to attack him, but he blocks it, and he uses tree vines to attack Quan. He notes that sacrificing a generation can put an end to the chaos in the world, so he's just helping the humans make the right choice. Quan is caught by the vines, but he breaks free by throwing his staff at Shen, who manages to deflect it. He prepares to fight seriously, as he realizes that he needs to get rid of Quan to achieve his goal. We return to Xiao Wu and Li, as they wonder why they can't find anything in the temple, but Xiao Wu can sense an illusion. They break through it, and they arrive at the man-fruit tree, where Xiao sees the gold coins that are given by the nine-headed monster. He is shocked to see that the thief is being restrained there as he is hanging by the tree. Xiao tries to help him, but a tree vine knocks him away, and Shen suddenly appears in front of him, saying he's surprised that they were able to defeat Fang and Mingyu. Xiao asks him about Quen, and he charges at him, but a tree vine stabs him, which Li quickly cuts off. Shen frees the nine-headed monster, and Xiao tries to go towards him, but Li stops him, saying his friend is already dead. Xiao wonders why Shen killed him, so he notes that a demon doesn't deserve to occupy the fragments of heaven. Li realizes who he is, which makes Xiao remember all the people in Lanzhou who worshipped him. Xiao asks him why he's hurting everyone, because they have never provoked him, but he notes that what he's trying to achieve is beyond human understanding. He mentions that when heaven was still present, everything in the world was in order, but after its fall, it gave the demons an opportunity to cause chaos. He attacks the monster, cutting off one of its heads, and Xiao tries to stop her. But she tells him he shouldn't waste the monster's sacrifice, and Shen tells them to give up, saying no one can defeat him. Xiao attacks the nine-headed monster, and he remembers the time he spent with him. So he hesitates, but he still cuts off one of his heads. He tells Shen that no matter what his goal is, it's never okay to kill innocent people, and he tries to hit him with his knife. But it shatters before it can reach him, and Xiao gets blown away. Li tries to attack Shen, but she can't get close to him due to the vines, and Xiao finds Qin getting absorbed by the tree. He tries to free him, but a vine grabs his foot, so he fires a bullet at it to get free, and he uses fire to burn the soul flowers on Qin. We go back to 800 years ago, as Qin fights against a monster called the Mind Ape. He mentions that he wouldn't have existed if the cultivators didn't train so hard, and that heaven will be destroyed because of them. Chon manages to seal the Mind Ape inside him, but he notes that they can't kill him, so he will be freed eventually. 15 years ago, when the Wu village was being destroyed, Qin finds Xiao, who has been infected by the soul flower. So he saves him by burning the flower, but he is seen by Yun, who tells him to let Xiao go. Chen asks Yun if he also came there after hearing noises, and he notes that even though he has traveled the world, he has never seen such a flower. He wonders if they could have saved everyone if they arrived earlier, and Qin mentions that, due to the heavenly principle, fortunes and misfortunes can't be predicted. But humans have desires, so they rely on their own strength to change the principle. Chaya notes that true freedom can only be obtained by following the heavenly principle and eliminating human desires. But Yun thinks they coexist with each other, so forcibly distinguishing them will lead to chaos. After a while, Qin goes to Yun's house, where he finds a letter saying they made a promise that once his Guyu skill is perfected, he will help remove the monster from Qin's body. But he doesn't have much time left, so he passed on the Guyu skill to Xiao, telling Qin to look for him. He also tells Qin he should look for the Surya, since it might be helpful to him. We return to the present, as Qin tells Xiao to run away, but Qin refuses to let anyone leave. He grabs Li with a vine and is about to end her life, but she manages to escape, and Qin tells Xiao to find his weak spot and kill him. As Xiao uses the technique, the Mind Ape inside the Qin notes that he plans to self-destruct so that he can destroy both him and Jin. The Mind Ape mentions that Qin can't keep him sealed forever, which is why he told Xiao to kill him, because upon his death, he plans to use the energy of the seal within his body. The Mind Ape explains that it's impossible for Xiao to kill him, since his Guyu skill isn't perfect, and he shows Xiao the seal that Qin is using to trap him. He adds that Qin can't use the power he used to make the seal, which means Jin will easily beat him. But the Mind Ape notes that even if Qin managed to win, he will still die, leaving Xiao all alone once again. But the Mind Ape mentions that if Xiao uses his Guyu skill to make a crack in the seal and allow him to escape, he will defeat Qin for him, so that all of his friends can survive. Xiao Wu remembers all the people close to him who have passed away, and he punches the ground, allowing the mind ape to escape, and he starts destroying everything around him. Xin becomes angry after seeing him, since he's the one responsible for the fall of heaven, but he rushes towards Jin and sends him flying into the ground. Jin attacks him with his 3 vines, and he manages to overpower him as Qin tells Li to cut him free, but she can't get close to him, so he burns the vines attacking her, allowing her to cut him free. As the mind ape goes on a rampage, he destroys the statues of the gods, which makes Jin lose his mind, and he transforms into a monster. The mind ape takes to the sky, while Jin uses all the 3 vines to attack him, but he easily cuts through them and destroys everything including the man fruit tree, which causes the soul flowers in Lanzhou to disappear. The mind ape pulls Qin towards him, and he reminds him how he told him that once he gets free, he will kill both him and Xiao Wu. But he reveals that he has changed his mind. He throws him in the air and smashes him to the ground, saying Qin hoped Xiao Wu would be the one to defeat him, because he's the only one in the world who knows the Geiyu skill. But the mind ape mentions that he has already taken over Xiao Wu's body, so there's nobody left to defeat him. He prepares to finish Qin off, but his arm suddenly stops, as Xiao Wu struggles to regain control of his body. The beggar appears, revealing his true form, and we learn that he's the illustrious sage Erlang. He starts to clash with the mind ape, destroying everything around them, and he smashes him into a mountain. The mind ape tries to fight back, cutting the mountains in half, but Erlang sends him crashing to the ground. He rushes towards him as Xiao Wu manages to regain control of his body, but Erlang is about to hit him. But Qin gets in the way, and there's a huge shockwave which causes the ground to shatter. After that, Li says goodbye to Xiao Wu, who asks her how she knew Erlang wouldn't attack him, so she notes that he would never kill innocent people. But Qin mentions that if they can't get rid of the mind ape, Erlang will come back to end Xiao Wu's life. He continues his journey with Qin, and we see Erlang hoping he can suppress the mind ape, because he's impossible to defeat. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.